Yeah, good thing.
Hello.
Hello, Lydia.
How are
Hello,
you, Jason
everyone.
and
Good.
Chastity?
Chastity.
Good.
Let's see here. Smith.
Why my thingamathing's not coming up?
Your thing, your video. There you are. Or there's part of you. There's your back.
No, there's my dog, my dead little passed away dog.
Good memories. Good memories.
Yay. My you doggy. Oh, let me see. This is supposed to be something else.
Okay, where? Check something here. Joining. Chastity, has anybody interviewed with you yet?
Not yet, actually. Well, except for Anastasia, which is no longer part of RPLA, but we did a podcast just yesterday, so that was cool.
Well, that's good. All right. Lydia, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because now you're red.
I'm trying to get my picture to come up, and I've forgotten how to do that. Shoot.
Oh, in the bottom, well, mine, it's the bottom left. There's video and audio. And so I on the
Okay, so
on the
I click.
video, it has a line through it, and then you click it again, and then it should show you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Huh. Is it not?
It's not doing that.
Is your camera? I've done that before. Camera's not. Is your camera up and running?
It is, but I don't want it to be up and running. I want to show my picture.
It's all right. Hey,
You found
Sophia.
it? Hi.
Let's
Hi.
see. This is our guest speaker. I need to make sure Sophia has ability to share before we get started here. Let's see.
Oh yeah, the
Well,
screen sharing.
let's see. One participant. Let's see. Okay. Do you want to do a little test run real quick, Sophia, to see if you can share your screen?
Sure. Yeah, I can. Can you see
Okay,
that?
perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
I think I know Zoom, but then they trick me sometimes.
Oh, they update all the time.
Yeah. All right.
I guess we got 4 minutes.
Yeah, I got a couple of minutes. So we will. Somebody else is trying to get logged in here. Hey, Bradley. Let's see here. Somebody else gets in. And then we'll. How have you been, Chastity?
Oh man, I've been so busy, guys. A lot of shit's going bad at Walmart, and I'm just kind of sad about it.
What are you going to do about it?
Well,
Or what can you do about
there ain't much I can do about it. I mean, short of getting a better job elsewhere, which the chances, I don't know how much chance of that right now. Um, I just have to deal with it. I just try not to get too stressed, but I had to report a team lead to ethics for his constant sexual harassment of me. So that's just that's one thing, but that's not the only thing going on there.
But that's in and of itself is annoying enough to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Bradley, we can see you now.
Yes, it helps to take off that little cover over the camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for joining us. Are you outside?
Yes, the coffee house that I hang out a lot and give a lot of money to for my caffeine fix closes at 7, so I'm right next to this other bar that's has Wi-Fi.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Yeah. All right. We'll get a couple more minutes before we get started. We'll let other folks get joined in here. I know we have a couple more join us at least. So, and our guest speakers here. So that's really cool
Yeah,
and
I'm
brave of you, Sophia.
in
We
my
appreciate that.
kitchen. It's
In
very
your
messy.
kitchen.
I'm a messy person.
I can't see much mess. I just see a sink and
No.
cabinets.
Yeah, you're not seeing all of it. Yeah.
Maybe you eat at home. You save money that way,
Yeah.
right? All right. And we'll have a so what's going to happen, Sophia? We'll let you talk as long as you want to talk, usually about 20 or 30 minutes. And then we kind of do a round robin, so everyone gets kind of just introduce themselves if they want. And then if they have any questions, if you're all right, are you all right answering some questions if people have
Yeah.
questions? Okay. Then we'll have time for questions and answers. And yeah, we'll go probably about an hour is usually what happens. So
Okay.
every once in a while we go a little bit over. People are just won't shut up. No, I'm kidding. If people you know have lots of questions or something. So but we'll see. All right, a couple more folks getting logged in, and we will go ahead and get started here. Hey, Sarah,
Hey,
welcome. And our friend Marcos. Hey, Marcos,
hello.
welcome back. Okay. I think there's one or two more joining, but to be respectful of everyone's time, we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We have a brave guest speaker tonight. So um, Sophia emailed us a couple weeks ago, I think, and wanted to share her story about her daughter. And so I said, hey, do you want to be our guest speaker? Because we haven't really covered this topic. I don't think we've covered this topic directly at our meetings as far as like anomalies and diagnoses and how to navigate all that and so forth. So
Yeah.
I wanted to certainly get involved with this topic and I have a little bit to say, but I want you to get started, Sophia, so you can share your story and then we can
Sure.
share and ask questions. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully you all can hear me. Okay.
I can hear maybe just a little bit louder.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. That's good.
Perfect. Anyways, I guess I'll start with a little introduction. My name's Sophia Gregory. I live in Detroit. Um, let's see, I'm 25 years old and I have two daughters. Georgia is 1.5, and I had her last year, 2024. And then Genevieve was born 2025, 4 months ago. I get them confused a lot because I was just pregnant like 2 years in a row. Anyways, so to jump right into the story, we had Georgia and we were just kind of like, oh, we want more kids, whatever. Oh, my husband's name is Jack, by the way. So I'll just reference him probably. And we were like, yeah, we want more kids, like how soon, whatever. So we just messed around, right? And then we got pregnant again, which was really exciting, and our families were excited. We're both first children, so this is first grandchildren on either side of the
Wow.
family. It means we get a lot of gifts.
Very popular.
A lot of gifts, which is
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. Um, so everything's going smoothly with Genevieve's pregnancy. Um, I think, yeah, it started, she was conceived in July, and um, so everything's going well. I have epilepsy, so I have to get monitoring every once in a while just for the baby's heart rate and whatnot. And everything was going well. We were celebrating, and then at the 20 weeks mark is where they do the anatomy scan with the ultrasound and checking all the body parts and um yeah, just your anatomy. And we were there, and that's when you find out the sex or gender. I don't remember which one is which. And um they the lady like didn't say anything. She was just like, looking around. And I was like, what is it? And she was like, oh, I see a vagina. And I was like, okay, cool. That's exciting. And so we were excited about that. And then we went to the like doctor's room, and I saw my OB, and I really like my OB. She worked with me with Georgia, and just all around great. And we joke around and, friendly. And she sat down, and Jack had taken Georgia to the car, um, and was like, okay, you might want to bring your husband in for this. I do not have good news. And of course, I'm like freaking out, but I think I just had like the sinking feeling in my stomach. And so she called Jack in, and we both sat there, and she said, your baby has what is called an encephalocele. Let me share my screen and share. Wait, hold on. What am I doing? Okay. I haven't done anything on Zoom in a while because I was I did COVID college.
Okay. That's all
Like
right.
the full thing. Why is this not working? Okay, I'm just gonna look up encephalocele. Okay, cool. So this is, I don't know what you're seeing. Why is it not working?
I'm
In
seeing the invite I sent out. If you can't, I can probably maybe pull up the pictures you sent me at least.
Sir, what am I? Weird. Why is it not working? Okay. You know what? Never mind. Okay, maybe you can show the pictures that I sent.
Okay, yeah, just keep talking and I will get those up here in
Okay.
just a second.
I did send them to you, right?
Yes, I got two pictures. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyways, so an encephalocele is a like sac of fluid on the back of a baby's head. Can also be on the front, so there's like posterior and anterior. Um, it's a sac of fluid. It can be big, it can be small. Um, you can just Google pictures later, because I'm not good at describing these kinds of things. And pretty much the sac of fluid has either like spinal fluid, brain tissue. Like we didn't know, obviously, because it's just an ultrasound. Like we had no idea how much, if it was spinal fluid, if it was brain tissue, how much brain tissue is coming out. Our doctor said to be prepared for birth defects, delayed milestones, probably not able to use the bathroom by themselves for forever. wheelchair, spina bifida, hydrocephalus, seizures, all these things, like a giant list of things. And they were like, okay, we can't, since this will be a high risk pregnancy, we can't treat you at this OB office. And so I was like, great, because I don't like change and changing all of those things. So I went to a bigger hospital and they did more testing. Oh, yes. So this was the bump, and it was kind of squishy. And I don't remember. I think this was like maybe 2 weeks old or something. So that's an encephalocele. And they transferred me to this other hospital. Oh, that's her now without the thing.
I want to show the cute picture too. So.
She's laying on the back of her head. So that's amazing. Just looking at the pictures again. Um, Actually, so I had different pictures. I'm gonna forward them to you.
Sure, go ahead and I'll get them up here.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like a very disorganized person. Okay.
That's okay. We have real speakers with real lives, and it's sometimes a little messy and not polished, and that's okay.
Okay, cool. So, new doctors and everything, it was just overwhelming. And so they wanted to see, we had to do a bunch of genetic testing, but for like literally just everything, like epilepsy, if that's genetic, um, Fragile X, a bunch spina bifida, a bunch of other things. And all of that came back clear, especially with my seizures. We wanted to know about that since I get catamenial seizures, which means I only get them on my period. So it's like a PMS symptom for me. So I was really worried with having girls that could be genetic. But turns out it's not, because that was like one of my primary concerns. And um yeah, so we kept going for ultrasounds and they were longer and more detailed. Yes, so this is like the newborn when she came home. That's what it looked like. And there is hair on top of it, and now hair is growing over it because the bump is removed. Um, and so yeah, new hospital, new people. It was honestly pretty uncomfortable, just because you're not with who you're comfortable with. And they so we do an ultrasound and they're like, oh, this is really big, like really big on the back of their head. And I couldn't tell, like, I mean, we're just staring at the screen, like, okay, you're telling us this. And we're just like, okay. And every single doctor that I saw there had offered, I'm pretty sure they're legally required to, um, are you interested in terminating? So I got this at the first appointment when I found out I was pregnant, or with well, yes, they say it the first time you're pregnant anyways. They ask if you'd like to terminate, and I said no. And then especially when the diagnosis, I was like, no. Like, she said, this can be a very hard decision for people. Like, parents have to talk about it for a long time together. Like, I get that, but I was like, no, we're good. We can just skip over that part. But then with the rotation of having a lot of different doctors, everyone had to ask me. It was just like, no, 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 no. And so then I had to do a fetal MRI. That was really interesting because they want the baby to be still. And I'm just like laying in the tube and they do, I don't know, it's just an MRI and they're looking at the brain. And there wasn't a lot of brain tissue in there. Just like it was mostly fluid from what they could see, which was good news. And Um, I had said it was on the ultrasounds, the bump was looking pretty big. So after the MRI, we were waiting to meet with them for results. And then we get back, they did like a whole meeting with the geneticist, the doctor, a neurosurgeon, NICU, PICU, and like other people. And they were like, surprisingly, the encephalocele got smaller, which was like, oh, that's a good thing. Like, we didn't really know what to say because that's good. Um, but we had been praying and praying and praying. Like, I even put it on Facebook, like, our daughter has this encephalocele, like, um, please be praying for us because we're not choosing abortion. This is like Jesus created her. We want her to live. We want her to thrive. We want her to be herself. But I was just praying like throughout the whole pregnancy, I was just praying, Jesus, if you want her to live, please let her live without pain or suffering, or because I said she could be in constant pain or seizures. I was like, Jesus, if that's not going to happen, just take her home. Like, I'm praying for my child to die. That's, I guess that's just how much I cared for her. Um, and so yes, I'm constantly praying this prayer, and it's just like you don't know. It could be miscarriage, and miscarriage is like on the table for everybody, but stillbirth, um, like she could be born and live an hour. They said she would only live up until 1 year. Like they gave me all the you're only gonna she's gonna be born or like die on her way out. All of these things, like literally the whole list. And on Facebook, it's going wild. Like all of my family and friends and like friends of friends and churches and everything, like all across the world, America. Um, and they're all just praying. Also, this isn't a like lecture to like try to convert people. This is just my story. And um so people are checking in all the time, saying their whole church is praying, like everybody praying. Like I don't even know some of these people who reached out to me, and they just were like, oh my gosh, the encephalocele got smaller. Like this is the work of the Lord. Like we are all just asking for it to be smaller, to not exist. And so that was good news. And I didn't have to do a C-section, thankfully, because I'm very afraid of surgery. And um, so I just kind of carried on with life, at the end of the pregnancy. It was, I don't even know, February was when the little conference was. So I had about like a whole month and a half to go. So we're just waiting, and it's like, is the baby going to, like, I'm just waiting to feel if she stops moving or if I'm like going into labor. And I'm still praying this, like, Jesus, just let her not be alive if she's going to be in a life of pain and suffering, because I just don't want that for her. So prayer, 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 everybody's doing that. And finally we get up to they set an induction date, which took forever. They told me like 5 different dates, and then they picked one. So that was anxiety inducing because I was like, can you just tell me? And um, so I had the date, and we were all like, literally, just nobody knows anything about what is going on. So this is kind of a birth story now too, but it's important. So I'm just like laying there. I got with my husband and my friend who's a baby chiropractor, so she was all interested in likes to watch those sorts of things. And so we're just sitting around and waiting. And then I got the epidural when I was in a lot of pain. They were like, okay, when you feel like you have to poop, that's when you need to push. I was like, okay. So I got this needle in me, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to push. And everybody's like, whoa. So I do one push, and it's like 6:30 or something. They were like, hold it. I was like, okay. And apparently I was unaware of this. And the funny thing is, right after I got the epidural, I was FaceTiming my mom and I was like, oh, just got the epidural. Then I was like, hold on, gotta push. So I hang up with her. And then I guess all these people came into the room, like neurosurgeons, NICU, PICU, students, because it was like a university hospital. And I guess the room was packed. I did not notice any of this. Um, and so I pushed again. So only two pushes. And we were all like, oh my gosh, like, is the encephalocele going to be covered with skin or not? Because if it was uncovered, then she would have surgery immediately to drain the fluid and patch the skin and everything on her head as literally like a not even a day old. And so everybody's just kind of like holding their breath. And she came out and the encephalocele was covered. And so we're like, oh my gosh, like, and I think I was just in shock because I was not expecting her to cry or anything. And so they rushed her to the NICU with my husband. And I was just laying there, like literally just me by myself. And so I just FaceTimed my mom right back. And I was like, well, she's at the NICU. And my mom was like, why are you FaceTiming me right now? But I didn't know what to do. I'm just laying there, like totally exposed. So I was
That's
like,
what modern people do, apparently.
I was
Yeah.
like, I might as well
It's
just
like, I'm giving birth
continue.
right now. I got to put this on my social media and FaceTime my friends.
No, that's literally what I did. Like during the induction, I watched the whole Harry Potter like seasons or like whatever seasons, movies. So it's a fun time. So my mom's like emotional and crying on the phone, and I was like, I'm just here. Like, I don't know. She was all in a what stage. And so then they come back. Jack and Genevieve come back, and like 10 minutes later, she didn't even need the NICU, which was amazing because nobody wants that for their child. Like any of this, nobody wants. Um, but again, we had just shared on Facebook to all of our family and friends, like, please be praying she doesn't need the NICU. Please be praying, like a whole little list. No seizures, no NICU, no hydrocephalus, all of these things. Good milestones. Um, just whatever they said that would happen. We just prayed that it wouldn't. And so we got to take her home, which was great. Just like a normal baby. And of course, I'm like, stressed about her development, and we're worried about how Georgia, our 1-year-old, is going to be with her. I was like, someday she's just going to step on Genevieve, and that will be interesting because she's learning to walk. So it's busy over here right
I
now.
bet.
And she has stepped on her, but it was okay. um, so she came home. I decided not to do the whole breastfeeding thing because that was just like a disaster for me with Georgia. And I was like, I don't want to add more stress onto myself. So she's being formula fed and doing great. And pediatrician checked her out and was like, all good. We just like she would lay on her side because of the encephalocele. And for the most part, she was comfortable. And like, she was eating good, doing really well. And then I noticed, well, no, I noticed that the encephalocele was getting bigger and more painful to the touch. And Jack was like, no, it's not. Like, I don't think it is. And I was like, no, I think it is. And we went back and forth on this for a while. And then a friend came over who was here, like, who was visiting like a week earlier. Then this little argument came over and was like, whoa, like that's huge. I was like, okay, I know I wasn't just saying things. So I email our neurologist or a neurosurgeon, and I'm like, okay, Genevieve's encephalocele is getting bigger and painful through the touch. And I know his goal was to do the surgery when she was 5 or 6 months. So that would be like October, I guess. And so we came in and they did another fetal MRI for her. Um, and they were like, okay, we'll get back to you with results. And all was well. And this was like week 5. She was 5 weeks old. And that it was on a Monday. And I'm just, at home doing our baby carrying stuff. And I got a call, like an after hours call from the hospital. And I was like, hello. And I don't know, this lady is like, hey, like, we got the results back for Genevieve's MRI. Are you able to come in for surgery on Wednesday? And I was like, yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything. Like, my husband's on paternity leave. So it was just like kind of just being in a daze, like, okay, we're just gonna do our thing tomorrow and then go in at 5 a.m. for this thing. And um I'm not very good at explaining the surgery, so maybe I will get the details from my husband and then I will email it. You can share
Okay.
it because I'm not I know they drained it and stuff, but I'm not a very like medical understanding person.
Yeah.
He's an engineer, so he's like all the details.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go in on Wednesday and they're doing the anesthesia and everything. And we actually sometimes they allow a parent in the room for that, but this time they didn't. But she did get the anesthesia and they said the brain surgery would be 2 to 3 hours long. So we're just like sitting there, and Jack is praying, and our pastor came and prayed with us and read us some really encouraging words from the Bible of just God being with us in our suffering and God taking care of his children and babies. Um, I and Jack was very nervous. I did not feel nervous at all. I felt a lot of peace in that moment. I just felt like I had done enough praying and asking God take Genevieve home if she's going to be in pain and not doing okay for the rest of her life, or let her live and let her be a testimony and she can share her story. So I just hung out there and listened to music, which was fun. But so on the screen we could see the surgeon like doing his thing, and then it was like procedure starting, and so that's when we're all and then we see procedure complete pop up on our phones, and it was only 40 minutes, and we were like, oh, 40 minutes for brain surgery on a 5 week old could either be like really really good or really really bad. um and so we were then called back to the little room, I guess, where the surgeon informs you. And I told Jack, like, we need to be prepared that if, like, for the news to be Genevieve passed away during the surgery, it didn't go well, or she's going to have this for the rest of her life. And I don't think he had processed the that option or like outcome as much. So I just had to like remind him. So we're just sitting there and it was like 20 minutes. And one of my friends texted me and said, bad news comes quickly. So I was like, okay, that's really encouraging to hear. And we were just praying again for Jesus, just give us the strength to have I don't know, hear this news. Like we had no idea. Everything was just like clueless about Genevieve's whole life. And he came and was like, the surgery went great. Um, so I'll do my best to explain the surgery. So they drained the sac of fluid off of her head, and there wasn't any. It was mostly fluid. There was like no brain tissue, which was also something we were praying for like fervently. They didn't even have to cut into the skull, and that was a huge thing. Like we were just praying for the best surgical outcome, and he was like, it didn't make sense to cut into the skull for her, and they just and we were like, oh, great, like that's what we want to hear. Nobody wants their skull cut open. And they patched the hole up with something synthetic, and then because babies skulls are still growing, the layers will just grow over that. So they just to make sure nothing goes in or out. And so they were like, okay, you can come back and see her. And we did, and she was, I don't know, she was just doing great. We could feed her, hold her. She was just like hooked up to stuff and had like bandages on her head, um, just the stitches. And um, yeah, they were like, we're gonna keep her here for like 3 days, um, which made sense. Oh my gosh, I just heard a very loud like crash, and I'm pretty sure it's my cats knocking the brooms out of the cleaning closet. Um, and yeah, we just saw her and we praised God, and our pastor came and brought us Panera, which was like great. And yeah, we just sat there and talked, not even about Genevieve, but just, oh, how are we doing? And I think I was just exhausted, but and so was Jack, but on a different we're very different people. I'm more chill about things and he's very uptight. So he's like unwinding and I'm just like, okay. I also had postpartum depression, so I was just kind of flat throughout this whole thing. Like I felt like I couldn't even care for her while she was like in the recovery bed and stuff like that. So she was on the hard drugs for a while, and then she got switched to just Tylenol every 2 hours. It was pretty good. And my mother-in-law came up and did all the hospital overnight stays for us, which was so gracious of her. Um, so we could get some sleep. And then, yeah, we brought Genevieve home and we were careful with her head and still giving her Tylenol every 2 hours or something, 6 hours maybe. And yeah, so we just had to watch her vision and the stitches, make sure there's no fluid or bleeding. And there wasn't. We had a follow up with the neurosurgeon, and he was like, oh, yeah, the stitches look great. Like they should fall out about a couple weeks. And we were like, okay. So she finally hits 1 month, and we're at the pediatrician, and they ask you, is she looking at you? Like, um, can she like move her fingers? All this random, not random, all the milestone questions. And we were like, yeah, she is. And yeah, 2 month old milestones, check, all of them good. Her head's healing up. The stitches are coming out, hair was growing over it. We were just praying. I don't know, I just felt like Jesus answered my prayers. And it was crazy because I totally was expecting her to die. Like, and it's hard to even say that like I was praying for my child to die. And I would never, because I was like, I can't and I won't abort her. But her life isn't mine, and we'll see what happens with that. So now we're at, well, she hit 4 months old actually last Monday. So now she's 4 months old and still hitting all the milestones. She's rolling over, she's smiling, she's like watching her sister. She's pushing up, grabbing things, gone outside, just like normal baby and child stuff, which is amazing. And so I guess our public school district does a program called Early On. I don't know if that's in other states or wherever you're at. But it's through the public school district, and they will come and check out your child, and if they qualify for it, they'll do free physical therapy and free occupational therapy. So they came over on Friday and it went really well, and she just has like some weak arm muscles, which is like any baby could have that. And they checked her vision because one of her eyes is crossed, but apparently that's like a normal baby thing. But because of her surgery, they want to keep an eye on it, and we're seeing the neurologist next week and the neurosurgeon actually. We're seeing them back to back just as another checkup, and yeah, we're just doing life.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
Great.
constantly sending people up
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
She's fun. She's a
Well,
very happy baby.
that's good to
And
hear.
my other one was too.
Good to hear. Okay. Thank you, Sophia. All right. So now we're going to just go around the room and everyone gets a chance to introduce themselves. You don't have to. I'm always curious, want to know. I mean, some of you already know, but just brief introduction, where you're from, how you found us, whatever you like to share. And then if you have any questions for Sophia, or us, then please let us know. So we will start. Let's start with Bradley.
Hello. I came to PFLAG some decades ago when I in the Clemson Right to Life group, and my sister lived up in Fredericksburg, so we had a place to stay. We went up to the National March for Life, and lo and behold, during the middle of the march, there was this huge rainbow flag, and it was PFLAG, and one of our very brave members, Natalie Batista, this cute little Egyptian Coptic Christian, goes running across the street to get all their literature. And from there, it's like, oh, wow, this is logical. We should help them, and they can help us. And it's just gone on from there. And I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if there's any PFLAG people or pro-life people around this area in Charlotte, that'd be great to know, since I seem to be the lone one. Especially with Pride March coming up next weekend here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that we have anybody there specifically where you're at. I have a couple people in North Carolina, but they're in different parts. So, and I'm thinking you probably mean Plagal, Pro-Life Alliance of Gays and Lesbians. Is
Yes,
probably who you're,
correct.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
that
yeah,
them people.
okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
but PFLAG is also another organization that's pretty good. So
Yeah, parents and
friends
parents
and friends
of gays, lesbians. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
It's a rainbow. There's a bunch.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Brad, do you have any questions for Sophia? Or
Well, actually, just coincidentally, I was this morning at a Love Life prayer walk, and not necessarily so much a question, but there, of course, was another testimony from another mother who had a severely autistic child that he also was very much encouraged to have an abortion. And, she also just said, it truly was not me. It's each day, it's, God and prayer and, the family and the friends I have that's keeping me strong through all this. And, her son now is 10 years old. And I would just ask, where is your strength going to come tomorrow to deal with what so many people would have just taken an easy route out?
okay,
What do you mean
we're
by the easy way out? like
Um,
abortion
well,
or
because I could not do what you've done. Uh, if I were the husband of, such a child pregnancy that I found out, I would not have the courage to say, yes, let's choose life. Um, how do you do it? What's your inspiration for doing the right thing?
well, first off, um, well, actually, okay, to the very beginning. So I'm adopted from India, and my parents are white, and they weren't able to have kids, so they adopted me and my biological twin brother, and then two other younger siblings. And so they chose life. Like I don't think pro-life can also mean like, pro adoption, pro foster
Yes.
care, all the life. I you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a strong basis. Like, but I can also share the testimony, choose adoption. Like I have offered to like random people, oh hey, like, or I have some like high school friends, friends in high school. And I'm like, if you ever get pregnant, because one of my friends was like ranting to me about how worried she was about it. I was like, if you do not want your child, do not abort them. I will adopt them and you can be in their life. You can not be in their life. Like, I think I've told so many people that I'll just adopt their children if they don't want them. So that was where it all started. Then I actually did some canvassing work for Susan B. Anthony list. Um, it's conservative. I don't really need, this was when I was in high school, so like 10 years ago. And we went door to door doing like pamphlets. It was political stuff, but honestly, I'm not super into politics. So I was just doing this stuff. And because I'm pro life. And so I was like, vote for life. And so I did
Thank,
that.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Susan, we'll go to you next.
Hi, my name is Susan, and I'm a disability rights advocate and very pro-life, but couldn't find a organization for disabled people who were pro-life. And this group reached out to me with open arms and welcoming gestures, and they're just a wonderful bunch of people. And I very much appreciate what you and your husband did. And I was wondering if you ever confronted some of the people who were reaching out and saying you should abort the medical people, like, just confronted them on their views of why this was like a no brainer for them that this should just happen. Um, and I, I don't know. I'm just very glad to be here and appreciate what Jason does to set this up.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I didn't get to tell anybody like, oh, or any of the doctors, here's why I'm not choosing abortion or anything. Just because they were so in and out and it was just like a no. So, but I do wish that I had more time to like actually like talk about it. Like, oh, here's why I'm not doing that. And so that was kind of a bummer because I was thinking, oh, I should share about why I'm not choosing abortion. But then the opportunity didn't really present itself. So
Right.
that was, if
But
something could
Sophia,
change,
you what?
if something could change, I think I would have wanted to actually share with the medical people.
Well,
So
there's still time, and you reached out to us, and I think you said you reached out to some other folks as well, sharing your story. I mean, we really appreciate that, of course, and yeah, that's important. I think that they hear back, circle back around.
yeah.
Like, what's the rest of the story here? Because a lot of them might, frankly, not know, right? So, what the outcome was of your pregnancy and your baby, and what all happened.
And actually, this is something I totally forgot to share. Because of course, my brain is crazy. Um, I had my like just a random appointment at my OB. So I was like, I'm gonna bring Genevieve. And so I brought her in, and the whole office like came in and was like crying and so amazed. And they were just like um astonished that she didn't need the NICU. Apparently that was a really big thing. Or the PICU. But they were like, she's doing so well, and like, oh my gosh, like we could hold her, she can hold her head up. They were just so emotional. They were like, we were thinking of you about every week. And so it was really fun to share her with them too.
Yeah. Sarah, would you like to share? Have any questions for Sophia?
Sorry. Hello.
Hey.
Uh, I'm Sarah. I'm from Indiana, so a pretty pro-life state, which is nice. Although I live in a big city, so maybe not. Or right outside one. Um, and I've been involved in this kind of pro-life movement since I think I was 15. Um, and I originally got involved because my grandma had told me that my great grandma was one of the people marching at the Supreme Court against Roe v. Wade. Um, and she is kind of an inspiration of mine. I never was able to meet her. Well, I met her, but I was a baby. Um, and I've been doing stuff pretty regularly since then. But I heard about this thing from a friend, um, because I just felt a lot of the pro-life organizations out there are very religious or are filled with very religious people. And seems to be a lot of overlap between religion and okay, I'm gonna say the thing. There seems to be a lot of overlap between religion and homophobia. All right. Quiet
Yeah.
part out loud.
Yeah.
Um, like you're not supposed to say that, but I'm gonna say it. Um,
No, that's why that's why this group exists, literally.
it
Yeah.
it just got kind of hard to bite my tongue all the time. And I started being just a little passive aggressive. Like I got a buy flag heart thing for my keychain, and it's pretty small, but it's still definitely visible if you're looking for it. Um, and just making comments over time, but it it became a little alienating at certain points, but it's nice to have a place that I can be myself and also like not want babies to get murdered.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's nice to have both.
Isn't
It
it
Yeah.
though?
Yeah.
Yes, we're a little bit different of a group, aren't we?
You'd
So,
think that wouldn't be all that hard, but eh.
eh, eh.
But for you, Sophia, one thing I was thinking about, um, as you were talking, you didn't talk a whole lot about your husband other than where he was. Um, where was he mentally with the diagnosis and um, the push towards an abortion and just even just dealing with kind of the taking over some of the emotional burden because of your postpartum depression during the postnatal surgeries?
mm-hmm. So I think throughout the process, my husband's name is Jack. So I think when we got the diagnosis, he was pretty solemn. We were both just kind of like, oh, now we have to do this research and whatnot. And we like I had to remind him, oh, like remember, you can also still celebrate that she's a girl, she's alive. We'll figure out we can talk about this defect later. This OB visit, like, was to find out the gender, and we did, and it's a girl. And we did have a like little gender reveal party with some family, even though we already told them that she was a girl because um they were praying for her. So he was really hesitant on that. Like, do we share? This is scary. Like, I think he was more emotional. He's a more an emotional person than I am. So he it was just on his mind all the time and just not knowing what to do. And I think part of the reason that I wasn't so stuck in that is because I was taking care of Georgia, my busy 1 year old. So, um, but yeah, I think he was, but we were both in agreement on the absolutely no abortion, but it was definitely harder for him to process. And then after the, yeah, when I gave birth and she came out, it was just like hectic. It was a rush, but I think we were both just in shock.
Mm.
Um, I think shock was just the word for that whole experience for everyone, honestly, because the encephalocele is like pretty rare in the United States. But it's really common in Brazil, I guess. I don't know. This is just what a friend told me who had from a friend from Brazil said, "Oh, they have a lot of these here." So, I don't know. That would be something interesting to look into.
Did
And
it, do they
yes,
maybe have more of them there because people are more willing to abort a child who's diagnosed with it here than they would be in Brazil?
maybe.
Hmm.
I have no idea.
I'm
But
Interesting.
I'm thinking Down syndrome when I say that.
yeah, no, I get you. I'm not sure I
Interesting.
should ask her but she said they're doing like trial runs for like new surgeries and all this stuff. And she was like, you could sign up for it. And I was like, I don't really want to do a trial surgery all the way in like Boston or like there are different ones across the US. I'm like, I'm not ready for that. So we were so grateful that we could just do it here and she's good. But um with the um after her surgery, being in the postpartum depression I was just kind of blank. Like I just sat there. Like I just let Jack and his mom deal with Genevieve. Like I just felt blank. The would ask me stuff, I could answer, but I was just kind of in my own little world of nothing. But thankfully, like also I got Zoloft for all that and I'm doing fine now because medications are a gift.
Agreed.
And
It's,
um yeah, so I'm doing much better with the postpartum depression and um he yeah, he just kind of had to do it all, which I'm really grateful for. That's a very loving thing to do. So, and he's
yeah,
doing much better. Like we take the girls out and all the appointments are a little draining, but it's
yeah,
worth it because she's alive.
yeah. And I think a first shock is a normal first emotion. You're just kind of, you don't even know what to
Mhm.
feel yet. It's just, what in the hell's going on, sort of things.
Yeah.
Um, Chastity?
Okay, I would like to respond to some things that Sarah said, but also I have questions for Sophia. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Chastity White Rose, the vegan virgin from Lee Summit, Missouri, and I am the gayest person in this group, and I'm transgender, and that's a lot for some people. Um, but here's the thing. I I understand what Sarah was saying. See, here's the thing. The reason I'm part of the Rainbow Pro-Life Alliance is because I would not feel comfortable being active in a mainstream pro-life group with their Christian-based homophobic stuff going on. And right now, my mind is on a former member who was a former member of Rainbow Pro-Life Alliance who then recently has been like reconverted to Christianity and felt the need during the month of June to let people know in a Facebook post that homosexuality is a sin. And I'm kind of heartbroken about that kind of thing
Yeah.
because I feel like I feel like this is hard for me to talk about, but
Hmm.
basically this person, is becoming more religious, and I feel like they're being led by the human opinions about LGBT people, and they're being led astray. It's
Hmm.
like I want to be happy for them in their Christianity and their faith, if that is giving them comfort or strength in their life, because I do believe that your belief in God gave you strength during your time and your story during all this, because you didn't want to abort your child, but you were also praying that if they can't be cured, for God to just take them home because you didn't want them to suffer. So I get that. But I understand the concept that it wasn't your decision, it was God's. I get that. And people can definitely have their pro-life beliefs strengthened by their faith in whatever their religion is. Absolutely. Yet at the same time, how does somebody be religious and not turn into a homophobe? That's the thing that gets me. I'm just like, my mind is still completely blown how a person I'm talking about Anastasia, how is literally intersex, has XY chromosomes, but is now part of a Christian organization and a Baptist church, and is like saying that they can only date men for religious reasons, and telling people that homosexuality is a sin. And I'm like, how do you even do that with your XY chromosomes dating men? Is that still just as gay? Like, I'm just completely
Yeah,
flipped
that's
out. Like, what the
weird.
hell? Like, how does somebody do that? So that's what's been on my mind recently. And see, the reason that I like, if it wasn't for Rainbow Pro-Life Alliance, I was I probably would never deal with any pro-life organizations.
Hmm.
I wouldn't turn pro-choice or anything stupid like that,
Yeah.
but it is hard. It is hard because um any of the mainstream pro-life organizations, unless they are specifically LGBT friendly, I just couldn't work with them. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
there's always that backdrop, like, yeah, we will help women choose not to abort and give them resources and help them, but we're gonna make sure we get rid of the gays at the same time. Ugh, like, you know what I mean? And personally, I personally think that gay and transgender people like me can actually be a better ally to the pro-life community than a cis straight person. And here's why. Because the very fact that I basically, the fact that I don't have, a dog in this fight, in the sense that I can't get pregnant, I lack the equipment to get anybody pregnant, and I will never be dealing with that issue directly, means that my judgment is not clouded in that way. Because a lot of people, they get emotional over the abortion situation, because if they are a person who can get pregnant, or they might get their partner pregnant, they might want that quote unquote easy out. They might want that easy out, like that one guy said, because they may not be really, they may be for life, but at the same time, they might be pressured into abortion in those very specific circumstances and that kind of a thing. Whereas I'm very strongly pro-life, and to me, like, one question I would have for you, Sophia, is do you think that these doctors, do you think that they were just doing their job? Like, were they legally required to ask that question, whether you should terminate? Do you think like they were doing their job, or do you think they were trying to push their own beliefs, and because they were thinking they would abort in that situation?
Actually, no. I'm pretty sure. So in Michigan, where I'm at, you can abort up to 28 weeks. Um, and I I think they're legally required to ask it. I'm actually not really sure, but I thought that they were. Um,
I was born at 28 weeks, so I would be dead. Just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, sorry.
I immediately thought of my a very close childhood friend who was born at 26 weeks. Whenever I hear stuff like that, because like he ain't completely built right, but he's amazing either way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious because the fact that so many doctors ask you if you want to terminate like that makes me wonder if it was part of maybe not a law, but perhaps a rule of the hospitals that they worked in that
Maybe,
they had to ask.
maybe, but also with the OB that I'm like friends with, or like we get along, she's my doctor. Um, it was pretty awkward because she asked me this, but it just sounded like she was just doing what she was told to, and she knew what I was gonna say. Like she was like, "Do we want to terminate?" And I was like, "No," and it was just kind of like an unspoken. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page, but I know you have to ask that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
it's
I
kind of
was only like that with her. The other doctors, I I don't even know. They were just all different, so I couldn't even.
Yeah, well that's just that's one thing I wonder. But here's what it's kind of like. For example, like obviously in hypothetical scenario, if I was pregnant and even if there was a difficult situation like that, that would not be on the list of options. It like a comparison. For example, I'm an ethical vegan. I don't want to kill animals in any way, shape, or form. So to me, it's like my choice might be to eat a carrot, a watermelon, or a banana or something, or tofu. And then someone comes along, well, here's a chicken. You want to murder it and eat its flesh? No, like no. That's literally like my feeling at that is the same way I feel about abortion. And I could, if we're gonna explore options, like, well, there's a cockroach crawling on the ground there. Do you want to kill and eat that? I mean, in some countries people do that, but like, come on, like I feel like that's an option that's not on the table,
Mhm.
for a lot of people. And I feel personally that those people probably were just required to ask you that.
I think so too.
And I bet you a lot of them probably were not comfortable with it themselves. And I think part of the problem is that now in these days, to be a medical staff person, like in many places, they probably are required to ask this. And I feel like a lot of people probably leave the medical profession, like people who are pro-life and who would refuse to perform an abortion, like
Mhm.
for example they probably leave being a doctor because they don't want to be a person to ask people if they want to terminate. They're not going to offer that service, and then that leaves only the people with questionable morality in the industry still. So,
mhm.
and that's the way that society has become ever since abortion was legalized, with Roe versus Wade. It created a culture where now people who want to be a doctor because they want to help people, now they're being required to ask if patients if they want to kill their child. And that's the thing. That is I feel like that is a good example of why I want abortion to be illegal and unthinkable because you know, I know we can't end abortion 100% everywhere forever all the time because people are still going to do it. But I think the purpose of changing the law is that the laws have an effect on people's idea of morality because the weak mind looks to the law of the land and bases their morality on the existing laws. The much stronger mind knows that even if it's legal, that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. And also when you have a really strong mind and heart, that it's like even if you are required to do something by law, you're still not going to do it. Like a conscientious objector, like if you're drafted for the military, for example
Mhm.
which all, of course, if you are just claim you're transgender and you'll be exempt. You know what I'm saying? But but what I'm saying is it's one of those times where people have to be strong enough to resist the law when it tells them something's okay to not do it. And even when it tells them to do something that's wrong, to resist doing that. And yet the law is unfortunately a guide for the weak mind. And I don't mean to be insulting about this, but the problem is people are indoctrinated in public schools run by the government, and they constantly push a political agenda. And that's what I find so concerning is my heart breaks at what is happening to these children, in school, what is being taught to them. And to tell you the truth, I'm impressed. I'm amazed at the fact that anyone is pro-life because of the fact that they try so hard to brainwash us into a pro-choice mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I can thank my mother, first of all, who chose life, obviously. Second of all, who homeschooled me during most of my formative years so that I was not having to deal with I never went to public junior high or high school, thank God. I would have been destroyed being the person I am, obviously. Um, but you're a very strong mother, and I know your husband is too. Thank you for sharing your story. And I just I also would have you ever written this story anywhere? Like, have you
Well,
ever?
I wrote it out in a document. I can send it to you.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that'd
I'll
be
email it for the group.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I wanted her to share it in person first, but I'll email it in a follow up for everybody to look at. If you don't mind, I'll do that, Sophia.
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. And thank you for
I would like to read it because what I think is I feel like this story should be, it should be public somewhere so that those doctors and the people involved
Yep.
that they can know your story. Like if you're going to take the effort to tell your story, I feel like you should get that out there so people know
Yeah.
stories like yours.
Yeah.
We're
Take my
working on it.
story, send it around, post it. I don't care.
All
Do
right,
it.
thank you for your permission. I think I will. I'll share
Force
it if
it
I
everywhere.
can.
I'm going to go to Marcos next, but I just wanted to put in here first because Marcos is studying to be a OBGYN as we speak.
Fun.
And so he might have a couple points to say too. But
Nah.
my thought is it's cheaper to kill. So be everything what Chastity said, plus for the hospitals and the insurance companies, I'm going to say, well, I understand it's cheaper to kill. If that's abortion or euthanasia or whatever, they give you a pill, they give you the abortion. That's cheaper than being in NICU for 6 weeks. And that's brutal and that's evil and that's horrible, but that's economics.
Yep.
So you have pressure from, and I'm a capitalist, okay? But you have pressure from the other side saying it's going to be, could be. And Sophia's baby didn't even have a NICU. But if you asked all the doctors 3 minutes before that, like, oh, yeah, they're going to NICU, of course, if they survive. So the idea that it would have been, I don't know, I'm not even going to ask, but millions of dollars or whatever is very possible. But an abortion, I know, even third trimester, they can do that for 5,000. You know, that's nothing. One day in NICU, what's that? So it's a brutal world out there. Marcos?
Mhm. Hello. Sorry. Uh, I wanted to say that your story resonates a lot of what I've seen. Um, I've had my own share of cases. Sadly, none of them were anything like yours. I think you're very blessed with the experience that you had. And I can't say that for every mother that I've seen, but because like I've seen, patients, very Christian foundation and all that stuff, and like there's different things. Like yours is definitely a very isolated case. And as every fetal anomaly, I think that's a very isolated case. But I had patients like with cystic hydroma, which is like it's like fluid, but it's accumulated like towards like the neck of the spine, and
Okay.
it like fills up. And those are typically like more difficult procedures. They require fetal surgery. There's also like anencephaly. That was like the more brutal diagnosis that I saw because when the baby was delivered, like he didn't have a skull, so like he was bleeding. So it's just a lot of things, when there's a diagnosis like that, like your mind starts going places like, what the hell is this? Like, what does it look like? Um, and you just kind of have to you just kind of have to go with the process. Like there's nothing like doctors don't know everything. Like we don't know anything actually. Like we
Yeah.
don't know anything. We're just we transcribe what we see, but we don't know anything. Like the knowledge that we have is like at best 50%. Like
We're
at
being way
best.
too honest, Marcus. Way too honest. Come on, yeah, no.
No, but at best it's 50%. And I say that with like the most humble of like experiences because like even when you think you got it right, like you don't. Um and like as physicians, we need to be more on the side of like we don't know because it's okay not to know things. Like you don't have to know things 100%. And I think that that's something that we don't understand nowadays is that we have to know everything. Like we don't have to know everything. And like when like there's these patients, like this patient with cystic hydroma, she was like very hypertensive. Like going into surgery would probably kill her, so she wouldn't be an optimal candidate for surgery. But she was willing to do everything, so we sent her to a children's hospital in Houston where she can get the care that she needs because we don't have one here. um and so, like these moms, they're willing to do everything. They're willing to go to the ends of the earth to save someone that is, their chances of survival are very minimal. And I think that that just speaks volumes. I think that your story is very, very different. And I think you should be grateful for the experience that you had and the gift that you have because so many experiences, I tell you, they don't end up that way. And they're still worthy of being spoken. Like I think they're still worthy of being vocal. Every mother's experience is different. Postpartum for depression is also something very very common, especially when something like this is presented. It's very much common. So don't think that any of this is your fault. I just I wish you all the strength and if there's anything that you need from me, like I'm a medical student, so my interest is in obstetrics, and so I have uh, been working towards that. But yeah, like part of why I just wanted to do obstetrics is just because like Jason and Chastity were saying, it's like a lot of these patients, a lot of these doctors, I think, they don't see it like as a because they're not required to offer or refer by Michigan because they have like a conscious clause, but you are as a physician required to inform. So like this is an option, but you don't have to. You you can terminate, but you don't have to. But it seems like these people are very, very really pushy, and I feel like the language and the approach that they do resonates a lot with what they believe in. And I think that they do it because they inherently believe that that's what you should be doing, and they want to control the room instead of you controlling your pregnancy and what you want. And then second, they see it as a liability because if you die, it's a liability on the hospital. It's a liability. It looks bad on the hospital. It looks bad on the doctor. And that's not how we should be treating patients. They're not commodities. like we all try to, try to be like the best, and offer like the best solutions. Sometimes those solutions don't always end up like, with a life at the end. But there's solutions nevertheless. And I think it's important to, just have that in mind, because people, like, I see obstetricians, like that's the first thing that they say, and I'm like, dude, no one said that, but okay. And it's just something, I always try to inform people, like, this is what you can do, but it's up to you. Like, honestly, like, you as a medical professional, you're required to inform, but you're not required to offer or refer. And I think that those are very, very distinct things that distinguish you. Um, but like I said, everyone has their own practice. Like, I can't opinionate on like how other people practice, because like I said, it's very bizarre for me, that, already having like this horrific news, and then you're offering like, oh, here, like, let me just solve your problem like real quick. Um, because there's just so many people that will give you like the opposite response. They're like, I want to like go to the ends of the earth to like solve this issue. Like, give me like the best doctor out there, and they will ask you for like the unlimited amount of research. And you're just like, okay. But you just recommended them to like terminate their child. So that's why I don't really like, I kind of let like, I lay out their options, and then like, what do you want to do? Um and of course, it's always in the patient's best interest. Um and it's always something that it's very hard, as a doctor, you being pro-life, I thought I would never have to like endure situations like this, because I feel like I'm like, it's like 0.01% that these things happen. But when you look at like the bigger concept of things, like I've seen about 5 cases, like just in my like purview of being in the medical field. And 2 of those was when I was a CNA at postpartum. So, when you look at it like on a wider scale, it's a lot of people. Like, and it's not just very uncommon. So I think as a medical professional, I was very shocked. I was like, like, okay, like pro-life, like, come on, come in me, like, what do I say? Um, but I think that's just something that you kind of have to, you know, I'm just talking about my experiences, but you know, everyone has different experience, and I appreciate you sharing your story, and I think it was very beautiful.
Thank you.
Lydia.
Hello, everyone. I got used to just sitting and being quiet, and now I gotta. Hi, good evening, Sophia. I am so happy for your baby and for you and your husband, and that the baby um, is well, doing well, 4 months old, able to lie down on the back of her head, which is great, and just so many things that I'm just really, really grateful for. Let me try to introduce myself without becoming so incredibly self-absorbed and self-centered. My name is Lydia, and just like Bradley, I, excuse me, became aware of Plagal in, I think it was 2003 or something like that, at a March for Life. And just like Bradley, I saw this huge rainbow flag, and I thought, what? And then I looked at the sign, and it said, uh, blah blah blah. Pretty much this gay group is for pro-life. It's not what it said exactly, but that was
You're
basically
paraphrasing, yeah.
and I felt so wonderful about the group. I was too afraid, I admit, and too cowardly to go over and say, hey, how are you? Because I was with a very staunch pro-life Catholic and evangelical Christian group. So I kind of stayed in my little space with them, next to them, but I did contact Plagal sometime later. So that's the first point. Also, I've been pro-life for 31 years, and pro-life in my heart, 31 years. God had to change me, even though I was already a born again Christian like yourself, which I'm really happy about. God had to change my heart, and so that I became pro-life. And I do attribute that to God. And so I was pro-life in my heart 31 years. I became pro-life as a protester 25 years, peaceful protester. And to Susan's point, Susan, bless your heart, you are sadly, one of the marginalized people in the, if I may say, the abortion universe. So with it, like the last 20, 30 years, maybe in 40 years, women have been encouraged to abort if their child is not 100%, which is sad and pathetic. But I do have to make a confession. Excuse me, after becoming Catholic, I don't go to confessional, but I just simply confess to friends and strangers about things that I've done that were sinful. But anyway, God had to change my heart as far as being pro-life for people such as yourself, Susan, and such as Sophia's little baby, and so forth. So I'm just putting it out there. God had to change my heart, and He did. So I fight like hell for people like yourself while they're still in mom's womb, and even before a woman or girl becomes pregnant, because there are a lot of young girls who still get pregnant. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
We are all works in progress.
Yes, absolutely. It just feels good to confess it for me. Also, to Marcos, I really appreciate Marcos being so upfront about doctors and how feeble, because they are human beings like us. I'm happy that they're young people striving to be doctors, but they are human. They are clay creatures, what I call us, image bearers who are made of clay, and we're feeble. And but I appreciate Marco's undermining himself. I think doctors are just a little bit more intelligent than the rest of us. If for the commitment alone, they're more intelligent. But I just wanted to let Marcos and also you, Sophia, know that I've made it a campaign since 2003, 2002, something like that, to pray for unborn children in situations like your precious little baby, situations like when Susan was unborn or preborn in her mom's womb, so on and so forth. And also I pray for doctors, Marcos, and I pray that you all will keep doing what you're doing, especially those of you who go through hell because you're pro-life and so forth. So I just wanted to ask you, Sophia, may I ask, if it's not too personal, what state you're in?
Oh, Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, okay. Because you mentioned this wonderful program that they have. Sadly, of course, they don't have anything like that in Illinois. Illinois is becoming a desert for pro-life anything. It's the fervor that used to be here about 20 years ago has pretty much died out, not only because of Joe Scheidler's death, but a lot of people have moved, people who are like real strong leaders in a pro-life movement here in Illinois and in Chicago. They moved away, moved out of state. And so it's something else that I pray about. But I really, if anything, appreciate you being here, Sophia, and that your baby is here. I was kind of hoping that I have a grandmotherly enough voice to persuade you to bring the baby in front of the camera, but you don't have to, obviously, but it
Oh,
would be so fun. But anyway, she's the sweetest baby.
I was
So I
going to, but she's asleep. I thought it
oh,
would be
okay.
so
Don't wake
great
her up.
to-
No, don't.
I would like totally bring her. It was part of my plan, but then she fell asleep. So,
Oh, it's so
but it's
cute.
good that she's sleeping.
Well, that's a
And
great. Go ahead, Lydia. Go ahead.
I just want to ask you real quick. Maybe I heard you wrong, Sophia? Did you say that you are pregnant again?
Oh no, I'm taking a
Oh,
break.
okay. Okay. I just misheard. Okay.
No, you're good. People ask me this all the time because I had two girls back to back. And I'm like,
Oh,
I
by
think
the way, my mom had my sister, myself, and my brother back to back. We are known as Irish twins. So that's
yes,
what.
that's what the girls
If
are.
you have a third one, you'll have Irish twins. Anyway,
Oh, the other thing
thanks
about
for being here.
sorry. The other
I'm
thing
sorry.
about
Genevieve, is that it was very random. Like nothing I did caused this, or like usually it's a neural tube defect. So they're like, take your folic acid, take folate. And I did, but this still happened, but it wasn't because I didn't take folate or take enough or something. Like, so if
And you
I
know what?
had
I'm
to,
glad you mentioned that because you reminded me of something. I'm 62 years old, and I remember being when I was a little girl. My both my parents taught my siblings and I to be open to all types of people and so forth, and loving and kind and so forth. And we would usually go to either Mount Sinai, where we were born, or Cook County, and see children who had the encephal, and I can't pronounce the word, but who had what your baby had. And we're talking, this is like over 50 years ago. And they, by the early to mid 70s, um, and maybe I'm wrong, but by our understanding, they had that pretty much well harnessed as far as how to treat it and so forth. But I'm noticing that especially with babies and small children, it's like hospitals and the medical universe is almost going backwards. They realize, oh no, we can't have all these wonderful cures and treatments. And I'm being sarcastic right now, cures and treatments for these children because we can't make money. So let's go backwards. It's a harsh view of the medical world, but I really kind of get that sense that they're like going backwards because they can't make much money in living, breathing, thriving people. So that's something else I pray about. My bad attitude about what I just said, and then also that it's probably true. So I pray about that. But thank you for that. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank
yeah.
you, Lydia. Thanks, everyone. Okay, and as Bradley said, so yes, that's a good excuse this time, Sophia, but join us again. We meet monthly, and then baby's going to be away next time. So Genevieve's going to have to not have that excuse next time.
Yes, I will bring her.
Yes, so because we want everyone to join us again, and we'll have another wonderful speaker um, next month, and we'll go from there. So, well, to wrap things up, and I do want to say a disclaimer, I love what everyone had to say. And as you may or may not know, our group is very open, and we're our own, even in the alternative pro-life organization group. Chastity, you have your hand raised. Give a very quick comment.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say something actually. You know, I had mentioned at the beginning about stuff going on at Walmart. See, here I just wanted to briefly mention. See, a long time ago, I had a conflict with my team lead Carl over him criticizing my pro-life beliefs, and he wanted to bring up politics and stuff, and wanted to debate that with me at my job, which is of course not workplace appropriate. But then what happened later on, why I finally reported him, is when he was questioning me about if I was a pedophile.
Hmm.
That just
Wow.
went way over the top. And he asked, Do you have you ever had a desire to have children? I said, well, maybe if I marry somebody and adopt children someday. He says, no, I mean have children in a way like pedophilia. And I'm like, what the hell, Carl? Like, and see, the thing is that happened a while back, and I can't get over it. And I should have reported it at the time. I told my coaches, but I finally did a full-on ethics report just a few weeks ago, detailing all the horrible things Carl has said to me while I'm just trying to do my job. And so I don't know what's going to happen with that because honestly, it's unacceptable. And he's made me feel very uncomfortable at work with he makes sexual jokes all the time. He likes to make pedophilia jokes. And if I had children, I wouldn't let him be near them. I'll tell you that. That guy
Yeah.
scares me. So I just wanted to let you guys know bad shit is happening
Okay.
because I'm worried for my own future right now. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, sorry to just
That's all right.
derail
It sounds
you.
like you're doing the right thing and filing the
Yeah,
report, getting things going. That's
but you know,
inappropriate.
it is very frustrating because even though I don't talk about abortion or these types of issues that could be seen as political at work, this one team lead, he tries to drag it out of me and he tries to strike at my weak points and get me emotional. I think he's targeting me, trying to get rid of me. And I don't appreciate it because I try to keep my personal and professional life separate because that's the safe thing to do. But here I actually am dealing with sexual harassment and him criticizing my pro-life beliefs and stuff like that. And that should not be happening at Walmart. It should not be happening at Walmart. And that's why I'm just kind of in a rough place right now. But I want to let you guys all know it does cheer me up to be able to chat with you guys because
Thank
I
you.
feel like it's a supportive group here.
That's what I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. And that might be a whole other topic we might have to cover, how we deal with people in public in our workforce and so forth.
Yeah.
But yes, so thanks everyone for joining us. We'll meet you next month. And like I was saying, yeah, we are, even within the alt pro-life community, we are our own thing. So we're not secular pro-life. I love secular pro-life group, been in their stuff. We're not progressive anti-abortion uprising because we're not necessarily all progressive. We're not a lot of things. So we're non-sectarian, we're non-political. So as you can see, if you haven't already seen, we have folks that are very religious and some that aren't religious, and some people that are we're most everyone in this group is LGBT accepting, tolerating something. You know, maybe there's something that they do disagree about. That's okay. We're open to listening to a lot of things. We're pretty cool people overall. So we appreciate you joining us, and we want to see you next month. And everyone have a great night. Sophia, thank you so much for having the courage to share your story.
Yes, and you'll send it the printed copy.
Yeah, I'll send that next month with our,
Yes.
our reminder for the next meeting so they can record, they can see this meeting if they missed it, and then also your story. Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. Everyone have a great night.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.